A stranger I'd never seen before managed to turn my entire neighborhood against me in less than 3 days. And the worst part was the cops showed up at my cabin to back her up. 30 witnesses, fake officials, and a stack of bogus documents were all lined up against me, ready to watch me lose everything. But when a taxi pulled up and the officer on scene whispered, "Madam Judge," her world collapsed right there in front of everyone. Friday evening, I thought I was heading into a quiet weekend. My wife Elena was away at a mandatory judicial training conference in Toronto, so it was just me and our cabin in Pine Ridge. I'd planned on fixing a loose deck board, maybe catching up on some reading. Instead, I stepped out of my car and immediately heard loud dramatic sobbing echoing from the community center steps. There she was, a blonde woman, tears streaming, holding up papers like she was conducting some tragic symphony. Neighbors I'd known for years surrounded her, hanging on every word. And then I caught it. "He's been threatening me. I don't feel safe anymore." Everyone's eyes turned straight at me. I froze. Who the hell was she? I'd never seen her before, but somehow she knew enough to point me out on sight. Later, I learned her name, Catherine Stone. In that moment, all I knew was that she was good at this little act. Her voice cracked at the perfect moments. She dabbed her eyes with tissues like she'd rehearsed it, and she clutched those documents as if they were gospel. She rattled off details about my wife's courthouse position, our anniversary date, even my job and insurance, things only close friends knew. It felt like I'd been under surveillance without realizing it. I wanted to laugh it off, but then I noticed my buddy Bob Wilson, who usually cracked jokes at tense moments, standing stiff at the edge of the group, looking guilty as hell while his phone buzzed nonstop. When I tried to catch his eye, he turned away. That's when Catherine hit me with her line of authority. "I'm the elected community representative. People like you don't get to question my duty to protect families. People like you." That phrase hit me in the gut, coded manipulative and dangerous. By Saturday morning, the trap had already tightened. I woke up to find I'd been kicked out of the neighborhood group chat, the one where folks shared updates about missing pets and package deliveries. Then I learned Catherine had held an emergency safety meeting at the Mitchell's house, complete with coffee donuts and a full-blown PowerPoint about how dangerous I supposedly was. She'd circulated fake texts in my name-doctored screenshots of community posts, and even set up a new online group, Pine Ridge Community Watch, dedicated to tracking my every move. My photo, my daily routine, even warnings about my erratic behavior, all plastered across the feed. Everywhere I went, I felt the cold shoulder. The grocery clerk barely looked at me. The gas station attendant turned away. Suddenly, I was a pariah in my own town. And then, the letters started arriving, tax reassessments jacking my cabin's value by $300,000, environmental violations by $4, $500 in fines from some community standards board I'd never heard of. I knew the documents were fakes, but they were good fakes, convincing enough to fool anyone who didn't work with official paperwork every day like I did. That night, Bob and I sat on his deck with a couple of beers, but it wasn't normal. He kept asking these weird questions about Elena's work cases, threats, enemies. His phone buzzed constantly. I glanced at it once when he wasn't looking. A text from KS reading "Target confirmed at home." Proceeding with Phase 2. My best friend, my best man, was in on this. My stomach dropped. Then came the tribunal. Catherine organized a community meeting at the center with 40 neighbors packed in like it was church. She strutted in like a prosecutor with evidence boards, timelines, and witness statements. People who had once borrowed my tools stood up and repeated her lies as if they were facts. I tried to defend myself, but every word I said was drowned out by rehearsed lines. Actions speak louder than words. Community safety comes first. They voted 32-3 to recommend action against me. No legal weight, but in practice. My reputation was dead. That night, I came home to see "Respect Community Standards" spray-painted across my door in dripping red letters. Eggs smashed against the windows, one tire slashed clean through. And when I checked my security camera, all I got was static. Catherine had thought of everything. Bob showed up later, shaking eyes red. "I never wanted this, Jim," he said, "but she's got me by the throat. 25,000 in penalty clauses from a project I screwed up. If my wife finds out, if the banks find out, I'm done." Catherine had found his weak spot and squeezed until he cracked. My own best friend had become her spy. Standing in my vandalized doorway, listening to him choke out that confession, I felt utterly defeated. No wife to lean on, she was unreachable in Toronto. No friends, no neighbors, no one. For the first time, I wondered if maybe Catherine was right. Maybe I should just give up, sign the cabin over, disappear, and stop fighting. And then, almost like a lifeline tossed in at the last second, Elena's call came through. "Do not sign anything. I'm working on leaving this conference early. Hold on until I get there." Her voice was tight, urgent, but steady enough to pull me back from the edge. For the first time in days, I had a reason not to fold. Monday morning, Catherine made her big move. She arrived with a fake county inspector in uniform, official-looking clipboards, and 30 neighbors gathered like an audience for my execution. She had Bob's spare key in hand, ready to unlock my door plant, whatever evidence she needed, and finish me off. But fate has a dark sense of humor. Her key didn't work. She twisted, jiggled, forced it for nearly 20 minutes while the crowd started to murmur. Someone called county dispatch. No record of any inspection. The cracks in her performance were showing. Sweat beaded on her forehead as she fumbled excuses. Older locks, compatibility issues. She said her fake inspector, nodding nervously. Neighbors started asking, "If this is official, why can't you even get inside?" Catherine, desperate, pulled out her phone and called 911. Emergency. "The resident has illegally changed the locks to block a court-ordered inspection. We need immediate police assistance." Sirens, flashing lights, and suddenly real officers were on scene. Catherine turned up the performance, crying, claiming I'd threatened everyone, that the whole neighborhood was unsafe because of me. People nodded, swore it was true. The senior officer, Smith, called dispatch to verify the paperwork and got the same answer: no record, no inspector, no authorization. Catherine waved her hands, blamed bureaucratic errors, but the cracks were now wide open. And then salvation rolled up in the form of a black sedan. The door opened, and out stepped Elena, sharp black suit, court ID flashing. Smith looked up from his notes, did a double-take, and whispered, "Count Judge Martinez?" His tone alone changed everything. The crowd fell silent. Neighbors who had treated me like a criminal suddenly went pale. Parents pulled their kids close. Catherine froze her entire plan, built on the idea that Elena was unreachable. And now, here she was walking toward us with the kind of authority that makes even cops stand straighter. "Officer Smith," Elena said coolly, "I understand there's been confusion about false inspection claims and harassment against my family." She opened her briefcase and pulled out a case file. Catherine Stone, convicted 3 years ago in Elena's courtroom for defrauding elderly homeowners. 18 months served currently on supervised probation. This woman is not a community representative. She's a convicted felon targeting a judicial family. The crowd gasped. Catherine's mask shattered. "Your husband was weak," she screamed, her voice shrill, cracking. "I turned this entire neighborhood against him in 3 days. It was beautiful watching him suffer, but it was over." Smith's radio crackled with confirmation probation violation, unauthorized interstate travel, direct victim contact. Detectives en route. Catherine's confidence evaporated as the cuffs clicked onto her wrists. She was led away while the same neighbors who had cheered her now stood in horrified silence, realizing they'd been pawns in her revenge game. Watching her shoved into the back of that police car, I didn't feel triumph, just relief. 4 days of isolation, betrayal, and psychological warfare had ended right there in my driveway, the same place it had started. Catherine Stone's entire plan collapsed in seconds, undone by the very arrogance that fueled it. The truth always finds a way through lies.